In this section of the course, we're going to look at the decorator design pattern. Now, just like many other design patterns, the decorator is all about trying to add behavior to existing classes without really altering the classes themselves. So as you probably remember, we have agreed at the beginning of the course that jumping back into the code that's already written, that's already tested, and altering that code is not a great idea. I mean, even if you have continuous testing and you have 100% test coverage, it's still not a great idea to go into something that already works and people might already be using and attempting to change it, because you never know where you can mess up and change it in a way which breaks something. So the decorator is all about adding behavior on the side without actually altering the original component. So the motivation for using the decorator pattern is fairly obvious. So we want to augment an object with additional functionality, but we don't want to rewrite or alter existing code. So we want to stick to the open-close principle. And in addition, we want to keep the new functionality separate. So the new functionality relates to yet another feature which can be kept as separate, and that's the single responsibility principle. So we need to be able to interact with existing structures. So our decorated object has to have certain traits of the original object, and we'll see whether or not we can actually get this and how we can get this. And essentially in this case you have two fundamental options. So if you have a class which is not sealed, then what you can try doing is inheriting from the required object, and that way you get all of its traits and you can add some additional traits on the side. So inheritance is a good approach. However, the problem is that some objects are sealed. So for example, if you take something like a string builder, you cannot just go ahead and inherit from string builder because it's sealed, and so you end up having to aggregate the string builder and then replicating some of its APIs. So what you do instead is you build something called a decorator. So a decorator simply references the decorated object, and then it actually provides additional behavior on top of the behavior of those objects. And remember that because you don't have inheritance, you have to replicate the API and proxy the calls, which ReShopper actually helps you do. So the decorator facilitates the addition of behaviors to individual objects without actually inheriting from them. That's the key part about the decorator.